Good evening. This is Brian Thomas Simons, and these are the main headlines of this hour. Among other news,
1. New 266 executive decisions were released in the Oval Office during the weekend. Among them, A. Military parades will take place every year to commemorate President Trump's birthday. Attendance will be mandatory for all federal government employees, who at the end of the event will sing to him, "Happy Birthday." It makes no sense to have a $45 million military parade if people are not going to attend, clarified the president. B. It will be forbidden for the Chief of Staff Susie Wiles to shed tears at public events where she is present with President Trump. She will be happy at all times knowing what the honor of serving President Trump will do for her career. She knows I won't accept her resignation. Who is going to fill her position if she leaves? No. And I don't care about her argument that her grandchildren have cut all ties with her. The nation, that is, me, should be more important to her, added the president. C. Besides July 4th, on December 25th, there will also be ceremonies commemorating the leadership of Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, and Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, because they are President Trump's heroes. Asked about this executive decision just months after the two dictators replaced the faces of Washington, Roosevelt, and Lincoln in Mount Rushmore, Minority Leader Schumer declared that he would send President Trump another strong letter, but that he was glad to humbly obey the president's wishes in the name of bipartisanship. 2. State Secretary Rubio was called back to Washington from the Maldives but only briefly, for the time it took to embarrass himself with contradictory declarations about Iran. As instructed by the White House, he declared that the United States had not been involved in the Israeli attack on Iran's targets, only to contradict himself soon after declaring that the United States had provided Netanyahu with intelligence and logistics support, and all before President Trump declared that there had been coordination and that he demanded nothing less than Ayatollah Khamenei's unconditional surrender while Secretary Rubio was in his way back to the Maldives. Asked about why he had instructed Secretary Rubio to declare contradictory statements just before invalidating them with new statements, President Trump said, suppressing a laugh, "I can't help myself. From time to time, I like calling Secretary Little Marco to make a fool of himself, and then I send him back to the Maldives without even permission to visit Florida, as he keeps asking. It's also fun to see how he gets upset when I call him Secretary Little Marco, but doesn't dare to talk back. Probably I should hire Lying Ted too, for the times I get bored of Little Marco. I don't know," concluded the president. 3. Blowback on Iowa U.S. Senator Joni Ernst's Medicaid remark celebrated by MAGA base after clarification. She meant illegal aliens, not citizens, would die. Iowa's junior Senator Joni Ernst's remark, "We all are going to die," with which she answered her constituents' complaints about cuts to Medicaid in Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, was cheered by the MAGA base as soon as she clarified that those who were going to die were illegal aliens. And maybe some Democrats but not patriots. As soon as the clarification was known, the initial backlash disappeared, and she even rose 3 points in the more recent polls. "I'm sorry I misspoke. I meant illegals ain't real Christians and patriots, that them and only them dying because of Medicaid cuts is not a sin, and that President Trump's promised me only them will die. And you see how the Lord has rewarded me with a boost at the polls," declared the senator. 4. Former President Biden reported laughing after learning Trump might be using a catheter, then forgot what he was laughing about. After an X-user pointed out that President Trump might have been using a catheter in a UFC event, which might be a sign of dementia, it was reported that former President Biden reported laughing after learning that Trump might have been using a catheter. "He was always calling me senile and calling me names, and then he took from me my friend Bibi, but at last God has heard my prayers and now he has dementia too. And my friend Bibi. My second term. I beat Medicare. I also beat Putin, Nancy Pelosi. And all the baddies. And was he using a catheter or diapers? Who was using diapers? Jill. What diaper brand? Was declaring Biden until Jill and Hunter Biden came up to abruptly end the press conference. Asked about the event, DNC Chair Ken Martin declared, "Now that the party has declared that David Hogg is not cool, we must focus on what matters," taking Rachel Zegler's Snow White to the first place in Disney+. Eyes on the prize. 5. Trump dozing during his military parade while Secretary Hegseth and First Lady board, a vile libel, says press secretary. Press Secretary Leavitt described images showing Trump dozing and Secretary Hegseth and First Lady board during the president's military parade as a vile libel. This is another anti-Semitic conspiracy between illegal aliens and Democrats to make President Trump look bad, but the image only shows the president resting his eyes, and the moments falsely described as Secretary Hegseth holding President Trump to prevent him from falling from his chair are nothing but Secretary Hegseth's demonstrations of trust in his leadership. Giving credibility to any image that shows President Trump in any way that is not lucid and athletic is anti-Semitic and helps illegal aliens, declared Leavitt. 6. Board. Marco Rubio caught yawning as Trump military parade attendants mocked. Secretary Little Marco will have to pay for the snub with 3 of his medals, decides Trump. Soon after Secretary Rubio returned to the Maldives, Secretary Leavitt revealed that it was true that Secretary Rubio had been caught bored and yawning during the president's military parade, and that President Trump had decided that Secretary Little Marco will have to pay for the snub with 3 of his medals. Secretary Leavitt also revealed that, after learning of the president's decision, Marco Rubio boarded his flight to the Maldives with wet eyes. Asked whether the punishment was not excessive considering that also Secretary Hegseth had been caught bored with the parade, and that there are images showing even President Trump and the First Lady dozing off for moments, Secretary Leavitt declared that those were jihadist images and that it was anti-American to give them any credibility. Also, the reporter who formulated the question was banned from future press conferences. 7. Secretary Leavitt denies allegations of Trump using a body double for the First Lady Melania Trump. The president seeks a replacement from the Slovenian provider, not a body double, clarifies press secretary. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt denied allegations that Trump was using a body double for First Lady Melania Trump. The president seeks a replacement from the Slovenian provider, not a body double. She is about to be 56, and President Trump believes it's in the best interest of the American people that he has a younger wife, even if she also comes from Slovenia. But the Slovenian provider has been maliciously neglecting his obligations under the male bride contract. Even the First Lady has agreed to be returned to Slovenia in exchange of 50% of the income generated by the $Melania meme coin and a new clause saying she won't be buried in a golf field, like Ivana. So we are now considering sanctions against Slovenia, at least until Melania's supplier makes it right in her contract, clarified the press secretary. 8. Florida man climbs on playground equipment. Tells kids where babies come from. Offered a contract by Los Angeles School District. Otis Dwayne Ryan, 30. A Florida man who climbed on playground equipment to tell kids between the ages of 4 and 6 how babies were made, and that they came from women, was found guilty of disorderly conduct, ordered to pay a fine, and released. Yet, not all was bad news for Ryan. After learning of the incident, Los Angeles School District Superintendent Alberto M. Carvalho got in contact with Ryan to offer him a contract to teach sexual education in Los Angeles to, precisely, 4 to 6-year-olds. After watching the video, the Board of Education was greatly impressed by how Mr. Ryan approached the children in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and decided right away that he was the perfect choice for the position, concluded Superintendent Carvalho. 9. Man who set off firecrackers under Florida girl's bed while she slept offered position as teacher. Additional credential: he's a member of the Republican Party. Matthew Morrison, 44. A Florida man who set off firecrackers under a girl's bed while she slept was about to face charges of burglary and child cruelty without great harm when he received unexpected good news. And the bearer was a representative of the Okaloosa County School District who visited him in his cell. Robert DeSantis, representative of the Okaloosa County School District, declared to the press, "Even though he is an illiterate bum who lives in a tent, we have offered Mr. Morrison a position as a teacher in our school district because we have been greatly impressed by his naturally disposition to be unnecessarily cruel with the defenseless for no good reason. Besides, he has another credential for the position. He's a member of the Republican Party, an affiliation that will allow him to use the Patriot Defense to get the charges against him dismissed and even get a $100,000 compensation if he is not immediately freed. We can't wait for Mr. Morrison to start teaching our second-grade children. I say he was born for the position," added the school district representative.
This has been the news of this hour. Sponsored by Church of the Holy Redeemer's Power in the Spirit. Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior? Did you vote for Trump in 2016 and then in 2020? This is the right church for you. If so, Church of the Holy Redeemer's Power in the Spirit is the only Christian church that can promise you in the Lord to have 72 virgins in heaven for only a donation of $50 a month. You will have access to those 72 virgins in heaven. For an additional $25, you will be allowed to replace 10 of them, and for $100, Heaven Premium, you will be allowed to choose them for yourself. Guaranteed, if you're not satisfied with those 72 virgins after you die, full refund of your money. We accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover.